Hello, spooky crew. Our tote bag drawing is officially closed, and we just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who entered. We are so grateful for the love and the support, and we have loved reading your reviews. Missed the tote? No worries. We're still sending out high-quality vinyl stickers while supplies last. Just email us proof of your rating and review along with your mailing address to thespookydarlings@gmail.com, and we'll get one headed your way. Quick promise, your address is only for mailing the sticker. No emails, no selling info, no funny business, just spooky gratitude. Thanks again for supporting the show. You are the reason we do this.
You're listening to The Spooky Darlings, where three sisters like to get together and chat. And I believe, Emily, you have something to tell us about today.
And what's your name?
Oh, I'm Haley.
And I'm Nettie.
I'm Emily.
And Emily's the star of the show today.
Shining star.
Oh, I don't know why we're talking about it like that. Makes me uncomfortable. Okay, so I am glad that neither of you have heard about this case. It's really fascinating. I'm going to tell you today about the disappearance of Lucinda Huels. Okay. So our case begins in Tampa, Florida in October of 1984. Lucinda Huels was just 17 years old. So she was Julia and Natalie's age. Nettie and I both have daughters that are that age, and Haley has a stepson that's that age.
Yeah.
Babies.
So, but Lucinda was not attending high school. In fact, she was married and she was the mother of two young children already. She had an infant daughter that was 6 months old named Deanna and an almost 2-year-old son named Tony. Her full name was Tinsy Lucinda Huels, but she went by her middle name, Lucinda.
What's really cute.
What year did you say? 80s?
1984.
1984, okay.
So she had married Larry Huels, her husband, when she was only 14 years old. So she was 3 days away from turning 15 when she and Larry got married.
I don't like that.
I don't either. She had found out that she was pregnant, and her boyfriend/neighbor, Larry, had been in a relationship for a while. So when she found out that she was pregnant, they decided to get married. And from what I can tell, her family was all supportive of this. It's hard to ignore that age difference, and especially how young she was. It is unsettling.
Wait, how old was he?
He was 19 and she was 14 when they got married. So, yes. So understandably, that does raise a concern for anybody that's looking at the story. I mention it because it's part of, just describing the life circumstances that she was in, and it helps, kind of paint a picture of, the life that she was living at the time. Not because I want it to overshadow the rest of the details of her case, because it's something that we could talk about for a long time. And so I'm just setting that.
We all have a lot of hard opinions on it, yes.
Yes, we do. And I even hesitated to say that she was almost 15 because I know we all have that one instance that's come up a lot of times in the past about somebody that was just shy of their 15th birthday. And it's like, no, she was 14.
Let's be very clear.
So anyway, so Lucinda, though, although she was very young, she seemed to enjoy being a wife and a mother. She had been looking forward to celebrating Halloween in a few days with her 2 little kids. And she'd been planning a birthday party for Tony's second birthday, which was in about 2 weeks from the time that we're at. So we're coming up to the evening of October 26th, 1984.
Okay.
Lucinda told her husband, Larry, that she was going to the laundromat. She left their apartment, and they shared a car. They had only one car for the family. So Larry was home watching the 2 young children. She left in their 1972 Ford Mustang with the family's laundry and $15 in cash. So, she was only 17. She hadn't really had her adolescent years to herself. So sometimes she did use going out to the laundromat as a little bit of a cover and an excuse for going out with girlfriends. So it seems like like she did this sometimes, and Larry didn't fully approve of it. She would still do the laundry, and she would still come home, but she would stay out later than he liked her to stay out. And
she felt like she had to kind of keep things from him.
Maybe
Sounds
so.
Like maybe have some freedom.
Maybe so. And her daughter later when she was an adult, talked about some of the letters that she had from her parents. And the mom would write these like kind of sweet cards and letters to her father, like apologizing and being like, hey, I won't keep going out. I'll do better and stuff like that. And it was, she has these. So this is the situation that she was in. So Larry didn't fully approve, but she finished up at the laundromat. And then it's known that she actually drove back to her apartment complex, but didn't go home to where Larry and the kids were. She went to a friend's house that lived at the apartment complex. And this was around 9 p.m. She got there and she met up with a neighbor girlfriend who was a little bit older. She was around 20 years old and her name was Nika Owens. And Nika Owens was a waitress and maybe not a great influence. And also, I mean, Nika's 20. Okay. I don't know how much you would expect anybody that's 20 years old to be an influence for much other than like being a friend and trying to have fun. I mean, I guess, these are all young people.
I remember being 20.
These are adolescents, all of them, even the husband.
So, so at this point, Larry was 19 when they got married, so he's probably 21 at this time. But so they're all pretty young. So she meets up with Nika, and they decide together that they're going to go out for some drinks. They called another friend of theirs named Linda Simmons. And Linda, I think, was quite a bit older. So I think she was like in her later 20s. So Lucinda's 17, Nika's 20, and Linda was maybe 26, 27, 28, around in there. I could not find her actual age at the time. Linda had been married and divorced. And according to the interview with Deanna, the daughter, later on, she did say that she thought that Linda was about 10 years older than her mom. So Lucinda changed clothes at Nika's apartment, and they all decided to go out together to kind of a seedy bar called the Char Pal Lounge. And this is in Tampa. It's actually really close to Busch Gardens. I don't know if you guys know. I mean, I'm not super familiar with where things are.
I've heard of Busch Gardens.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with where it's laid out, but there's a campground at Busch Gardens, and it's like kind of an amusement park. And this bar was like about a football field away from where Busch Gardens was. So it's like pretty close. You could see it. You could get to it. So it's right near there. Also, the Char Pal Lounge had a little bit of a known mob tie, and it was in fact mentioned in the movie Goodfellas. I think they actually maybe even filmed a scene there. There was a scene where they were going to maybe feed somebody to animals at the zoo at Busch Gardens. They mentioned that. I didn't rewatch Goodfellas to like get the context for this. But that was something that was mentioned in multiple tellings of this case.
I love that movie.
You don't need to go to the zoo to feed a body to an animal if you know a pig farmer.
I'm so glad that you have inside knowledge of that kind of stuff. So
maybe you should have consulted on that movie.
Well, I don't. Yeah, maybe, probably.
So basically, this is kind of a dive bar. It's not a great place. Kind of like shady characters hang out there. So the girls get there, the ladies get there, they play some pool, they're having some drinks. Linda's ex-husband, whose name is Sam Simmons, he came in and he started to make a scene, started an argument with Linda. He brandished a gun.
Oh my goodness.
So witnesses,
high drama.
Yeah, so there are a lot of things going on. Lucinda wasn't really involved at all in that interaction, but that was, stated in the sequence of events. Then, Sam kind of got out of there. And then Linda said that she saw Lucinda talking to a couple different people throughout the evening, including a man whose name was Larry Moore. So not to be confused with her husband, Larry Huels, who was back at home with the children. This man named Larry Moore owned a couple of businesses, including a sign-making business and a cleaning business. And he had talked to Lucinda about giving her a job. And she was like, yeah, I mean, I could start in a few days. They were talking about this. So she was kind of planning to accept it. One account made it sound like they had actually talked about the job situation a couple days before and were just like touching base on it again that night at the bar. But other accounts made it sound like the job was brought up for the first time. So it's hard to say how that actually unfolded. But Larry Moore had been seen talking to Lucinda quite a bit, and they were talking about a job. One account says that Larry Moore left the bar around 11 p.m. while Linda and Lucinda and Nika were still there.
But Larry, okay, so Lucinda's husband's name is Larry as well?
Yeah.
So there's two Larrys. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Did you already say that?
I did.
She did.
Yeah, so Larry Huels, the father and husband, is at home still with the young children. Larry
then
Moore,
Larry Moore is
is the
Linda's.
potential employer that Lucinda was talking to.
Okay, not Linda. Okay. I think that I started picturing it, and then you know what I mean? It's like when you start like getting lost in the picture, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait,
Yeah.
did I miss a detail? That's what happened.
So Linda decided to leave with a friend around 12 or 12:30, and when she checked in with Lucinda, Lucinda wanted to stay. She was in the parking lot, like possibly smoking weed, having had a lot of drinks with a group of people, and was laughing and having a good time. Linda had had a lot of drinks and couldn't say with certainty exactly who she saw Lucinda with in the parking lot, but Lucinda wanted to stay. So she left with a friend, and the last she saw of Lucinda was that she was in the parking lot with a bunch of people. Nika also left the bar like around 1 a.m. She said that she also checked in with Lucinda, but Lucinda wasn't ready to go. So the two gals that she went to the bar with have left already, and Lucinda was still there. The next morning at 9 a.m., Nika and Lucinda somehow noticed that Lucinda's car was still in the parking lot of the Charpal Lounge. So it was found there. It was unlocked, but the keys were missing. And in the back seat was a basket of her family's clean and neatly folded laundry.
Oh, no.
Boy.
So, and this is according to Nika and Linda. They said that they went and checked in with Larry, and, confirmed that she had not returned home the night before. But another account said that Larry realized she hadn't come home and went and checked in with Nika and Linda. So that is fuzzy.
Okay.
I'm not certain which way it actually happened.
Somehow they made a connection, and
Yes. So, also, though, that morning, police approached a vehicle on the side of the road and found that Larry Moore, the sign business owner and cleaning business owner, and another man were asleep inside the car on the side of the road. They were arrested for possession of marijuana and carrying a concealed weapon. Lucinda's disappearance had not yet been reported, so they weren't questioned at that time about anything to do with it. But that interaction with the police did happen with Larry Moore and another individual on the side of the road. And who knows, maybe they just had too much to drink and decided to pull over and sleep it off. I don't really know. So Larry, the sign guy, was later questioned about Lucinda. One account said that he refused a polygraph and told police that they would have to talk to his lawyer if they wanted to ask any further questions. Other patrons of the bar were also later questioned, but it seemed like nobody really had a clear recollection of the last moments of the evening with Lucinda. So Larry, the husband, Larry Huels, tries to get the police involved. They're not taking it that seriously, like a 17-year-old,
who's out partying.
Yes.
Yeah,
And they also kind of made it sound like maybe because they weren't from a wealthy family, that it wasn't something that law enforcement or the media were that interested in. And that one...
I mean, it's... Oh, sorry. I was just going to say it's very common.
Yeah, well, and that one news outlet was like, I can run a story about your missing wife if you pay me $500.
Oh, my goodness.
So that was kind of the way it was taken at first. People are treating it like she's probably going to come home, like she's just off, whatever, A few days later, a red purse was found in the men's restroom at the Busch Gardens campground. Oh. It was found under a bench, in the men's shower room. So a campground employee had found it, and he put it in the lost and found. He didn't look inside. He didn't look at the name on it, and he didn't know that it was connected to any kind of police case or missing persons case. So it wasn't until almost 2 weeks later that he saw some stuff on the news and realized that that purse could be linked to Lucinda's missing persons case. So he then reported it to the police, and it turned out to be Lucinda Huels' purse. Her belongings were all there and accounted for, minus the keys to the car. So her cash, her driver's license, and oddly, her marriage certificate was there with her. Nobody knows why she had her marriage certificate with her that night.
Yeah, that's odd. Well, I mean, even if she's applying for a job, you don't usually need your marriage certificate. You might need your birth certificate or your social security card.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I don't know if maybe there's some child labor law where you are exempt from being required to be in school if you're married. Like, I have no idea what the laws are or
true.
if there's any kind of explanation. There wasn't anything in what I read that made it make sense, but that's just kind of like a couple things that I wondered about. Like,
That could be why, only being 17 and being a minor, maybe.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So Larry Huels, Lucinda's husband, said that there was no indication at their home that anything was amiss. Like, none of her stuff was missing. She hadn't packed anything up. He did say, though, that he got the feeling that Nika and Linda knew more than they were letting on about Lucinda disappearing. And you can find Nika Owens, like multiple mugshots of Nika Owens online if you want to look those up. I'm not going to share them on our socials because it makes me feel a certain kind of way, but she had a little bit of a rap sheet. And I don't know if that started after this time or if it was something that was going on before. Like, her mugshots look like they're much older than a 20-year-old.
Is it like Nika, Nika?
Neeka Owens.
Okay.
So she had been known at some point to have been a sex worker. I also found another mugshot for a woman named Linda Simmons, and I couldn't verify if it was the same Linda Simmons, but she had been arrested for burglary. So I don't know if that's the same person. Simmons is, Linda Simmons is a more common name than Nika Owens.
Wait, I'm sorry. Are you saying Mika with an M as in Mary or Nika?
N as in Nancy.
Okay.
And as in Mancy.
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm sorry, Florida?
Yeah, Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
So it's established now Lucinda Huels is missing. She's 5'5", 140 pounds, Caucasian, 17 years old, brown hair, brown eyes, a circle-shaped burn scar on her left upper thigh. She was last seeing a white tank top, a sweater with black and white pins, a white tank top sweater with black and white pinstripe pants. And so the case kind of goes cold. The family is left with more questions than answers, and years go by. So, she's in the missing persons networks. She's literally a missing child. She's a 17-year-old mother, but she's also a missing child.
Right.
So, after 8 years, we're at April of 1992. One day at the Huels family household, where Larry is, raising the two children by himself. One day after school, the phone rings. Deanna, who is now 8 years old, she was Lucinda's young daughter, who was 6 months old at the time of her disappearance.
So sad.
She's probably like third grade-ish, I would guess. Like 8 years old is usually third grade. She had grown up without knowing her mom, or hearing her voice, but she'd seen lots of pictures, and she knew the situation. She knew that her mom was missing and that nobody knew what had happened to her. So the phone rings, and Deanna answers the phone, and a woman's voice on the line says, asks who she is. Deanna responds with her name, and the woman on the line replies, "Oh my goodness, my baby girl. This is your mother."
Kidding me. Oh my gosh.
Stop it.
She says, "This is your mother." Deanna.
Was it?
She says,
I'll let you tell the story.
She says, "That's not funny." And she puts her grandma on the phone.
Oh.
So the woman on the phone explains that she's Lucinda. She had run away in 1984 because she was overwhelmed with the pressures of being a young wife and mother. She said that she had hitchhiked to Memphis, where she started waitressing, and she started using the name Amanda. And then she moved to Arkansas, where she had gotten married to another guy. So what? WTVT interviewed Larry Huels, and he said, quote, "To be honest, I'm not thinking about why right now. That's a secondary issue. I'm just thinking I'm glad." And he kind of trailed off. So when he trailed off, the reporter said that she's alive. And Larry said, "Right." So Larry was pretty overcome with emotion.
Yeah, that was so hard.
Arrangements were made for Lucinda to return home. So Larry Huels and Lucinda's little sister, Katrina, who was 20 years old at the time, drove to Arkansas to pick her up. So 8 years have passed. Lucinda would have been about 26 years old at this time.
Okay.
So when they saw her, it was almost as if she hadn't aged. Lucinda looked just like she had all those years earlier, except there was no gap in her front teeth. And her chin was there was something slightly different about her chin. And Lucinda explained that she had been in a car accident and she'd had some cosmetic dental surgery and that she had to have a jaw reconstructive surgery. So she just explained that away. So she comes back with them to Tampa. She settles in to her life.
Something seems suspicious.
So yeah, she settles in to her life as the wife of Larry Huels and the mother to Tony and Deanna. And she's very loving with the children. She immediately forms a bond with the children.
Oh my gosh.
The mother they've been missing and mourning for the last 8 years is just like there and present and loving towards them. So the story unfolded that after running away and starting to go by the name Amanda, she eventually wound up in Arkansas, married a guy there. His name was Danny. Danny always felt like she was hiding something. She avoided ever having her picture taken. She wouldn't share any details about her past, her childhood, her family, or anything like that. And when they talked about getting married, she dodged questions about a birth certificate or anything like that, like any kind of way to like identify her. So
Okay.
this part is a little bit unclear because they're like kind of conflicting stories. But one account said that Danny, the Arkansas husband, saw an Unsolved Mysteries episode about Lucinda Huels. Another account said that somebody else saw it.
Oh, her new husband saw.
What?
Okay. I'm sorry. Lucinda's new husband.
No. Danny, the Arkansas husband.
Yeah, her new husband.
Yeah, her new
Danny's
old
the
husband,
new
because she's
husband.
back living with Larry
Right,
now.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I understand. But
Yes.
her second husband is what I meant
Yes.
to say. Danny, her second husband, saw an Unsolved Mysteries about this.
About Lucinda Huels. And he was like, wait.
Okay.
Or somebody that he knew saw it and was like, hey, she looks just like this Lucinda Huels that's missing from Tampa. Anyway, somehow it was brought up that she looked just like this missing person, Lucinda Huels, from the show Unsolved Mysteries, which a spokesperson from Unsolved Mysteries claims that they never actually aired a show about Lucinda Huels, though. I could not find, it's really hard to track down old episodes of that show. I could not find anything about it other than accounts of this story.
I wonder if it was like just a news report or something that someone just conflated with Unsolved Mysteries.
That is totally possible, but I like to say that is an unsolved Mysteries mystery.
And that should be the title of this episode.
Yay! So, Danny, who's Arkansas husband, Danny's mother, was concerned about Amanda's past too. So she started calling around to missing children's hotlines, just to see if she could find any information about any missing people that matched. So Amanda was what she was going by in Arkansas, that matched Amanda's description.
Right.
So at some point, in response to one of her calls, she received a picture of Lucinda Huels in the mail from the Missing Children Help Center in Tampa. Whoa. And the resemblance was so striking, she confronted Amanda. She was convinced that they were the same person. And at first, Amanda denied it. But Danny was so suspicious that he went to the police about it. And the detective in Arkansas that took care of the case, his name was Waylon Stepp. He brought Amanda in for questioning and looked at the pictures, and he was like, this is probably the same person. He was like, okay, the distinguishing feature is a burn scar on the upper leg. So he had a female officer take her into a private room, and she had the same mark.
Okay.
And that's when Amanda was like, okay, you got me. I am Lucinda Huels. I can't lie anymore. And she broke down into tears and told them that she just was overwhelmed by the pressure of being a young wife and mother, and that she had run away. And that was around the time that she called and made that call that Deanna answered at the Huels household. So they bring Amanda, or Lucinda, whichever one you want to call her, back to Tampa. And so when Lucinda's brother Ricky first saw her, he instantly felt like something was off, but he kept it to himself because his mother was convinced that it was her and was so overjoyed. And Larry was overjoyed and the children were overjoyed. So he kept it to himself, but he literally was like, you got the wrong person.
Like, something's wrong here.
Lucinda's childhood best friend, Candy Lesarge, also said that something just didn't quite feel right. When they got together, there was effort, but that connection that they'd always had was not there. And she was like, something isn't right. But they looked through photo albums together.
Wow.
And somehow it seemed that the new Lucinda recognized everybody in the pictures and knew about events that only
Weird.
Lucinda would have known about. So while Candy felt like things were off, she also didn't say anything. You know, Larry and the kids had been through so much heartbreak already. So like, unless they were so sure, you know, also Lucinda's little sister, Katrina Hart, she was the one that drove with Larry to pick up Amanda or Lucinda. And she said that just everybody had kind of like questions that they were all privately keeping to themselves because of the relief of having her back. And she had an answer for everything that could have given them pause. And for so many years, they had feared the worst. So they thought that she was, you know, dead or, you know, like just something awful had happened.
Murdered.
She says that that's kind of why they overlooked some of these things that were pretty red flags, right?
This is kind of reminding me of that case, The Imposter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too. I was thinking
That man
same
all the
thing.
way from Spain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So despite
Well,
these,
and when you like are I don't know, when you so desperately want something to be true, you know, it's like the mom just so desperately wants to believe that her daughter's back. It's like it's the cognitive dissonance. You'll be willing to look over all the things that are wrong with it just because would be too painful to have it not be true.
And it would also be best case scenario that she disappeared on her own terms and wasn't taken. And
yes, but that's painful too, right? To even consider either
that
way.
someone willingly
Yes.
left. Yeah. Especially for those little girls.
And also like the difference between an 18-year-old and a 26-year-old is huge, right? So like a 17-year-old and a 26-year-old, like the amount that you change physically in that time, like going from like childhood to adulthood, like you do physically change. You look different, you act different. So like I definitely think that there is some like I can totally see how you'd be like, okay, like of course she's different. Of course she looks a little different. Of course she acts a little different, you know?
oh, her jaw is different because of that car accident she has an explanation about.
So despite these doubts, the family, they just wanted to believe. So the woman moved into the Huels home and began her role as the wife of Larry and as the mother of Tony and Deanna. You know, she seemed to know a lot of details about Lucinda that she couldn't have known if she wasn't Lucinda, and it was convincing. So as they were trying to settle in together and become a family again, this story was covered pretty heavily in the news all over the country, but especially in the South. So, you know, it's like this kind of miracle story. Like 8 years later, a missing persons cold case is solved and a family's reunited. And, you know, it's just, it was everywhere. So it wasn't long before that detective in Arkansas, Waylon Stepp, got a call from a couple. It was a husband and wife who had seen the news. And they were like, that woman is not Lucinda Huels. She is our niece, Amanda.
Oh my gosh.
Scamanda.
They were like, she ran away when she was a young teen and we haven't seen her.
Whoa.
So the detectives contacted Larry, and this was the first time that he confided in anybody that he wasn't 100% sure that the woman that he brought home from Arkansas was his wife, Lucinda.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So they arranged a meeting between the two people claiming to be the relatives and the woman that everybody was now calling Lucinda.
Wow, what are the chances that she would look, that if it's this girl, Amanda, and she's a runaway, that she would look so much like another missing woman?
Let me show you pictures. It isn't, it's like pretty uncanny. Like you can totally understand why.
Send us pictures. I couldn't find, by the way, the other girl. She didn't come up when I tried to Google Nika.
Oh, okay. I'll send that to you too.
Okay.
Okay. So these are pictures of Lucinda and Amanda side by side. So, I mean, I'm revealing the reveal here that they are not the same person.
Okay.
So they arranged a meeting between this aunt and uncle couple and the woman that everybody was now calling Lucinda. And at this meeting, Lucinda or Amanda or whatever you want to call her showed absolutely no sign of recognition towards this couple that claimed to be her aunt and uncle. She completely denied being their niece, Amanda. So the detectives were like, okay, like it's now the 90s. We have a little thing called science. It is, we can use
DNA.
blood tests to determine and, resolve this once and for all. We can see if she is a maternal match to Tony and Deanna.
The eyes are different.
Yeah.
Like, I can see they do look a lot alike. And if you told me it was the same person, I'd be like, sure. But I'd be like, but something.
The psychotic move of calling the family and saying to the little girl, I'm your mom.
Yeah. Okay, well, so there's more. Okay. The testing was scheduled, but Lucinda or Amanda was in a pretty awful car accident. So the testing had to be delayed. She said that a white van aggressively followed her and ran her off the road, and she ended up flipped upside down in a ravine. And she walked away with only minor injuries, but she was pretty shaken.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Shortly after, though, the family found that somebody had spray painted on the side of that wrecked car that was sitting in their driveway. Somebody had spray painted strike one on the side of the van.
Strike one? Wait, so she was driving a van and a van ran her off the road?
A white van ran her off the road. She was driving a family car. I think, you know what? I said van. I'm not 100% sure that it was a van. Whatever car she was driving.
Strike one.
Somebody wrote strike one
Oh
on the
my
side of the
gosh.
car, slashed all of the tires of every vehicle in the family's driveway. And then in the back of the property on the family's shed, somebody wrote strike two in spray paint.
What? This honestly seems like a Christopher Pike plot. Like, I know what you did last summer.
Oh my gosh.
Who's the other author? Christopher Pike or Wes? Anyway.
Yeah.
R.L. Stein or something?
Wes Craven.
R.L. Stein. That's what I was thinking of.
Wes Craven.
Yes. I was thinking R.L. Stein, but Wes Craven. Oh. Yes. Okay, sorry.
So the family was like, okay, is this somebody dangerous from Lucinda's past that's trying to silence her about her time where she was missing?
Was it Lucinda's actual killer is what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
And they're saying, hey, we don't want to prove you're not her. But
They're saying, hey, strike one.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
and strike two.
Who knows, right? But one of the detectives was like, there's another possibility, and that is that this woman is writing the messages and trying to do it to avoid the test.
Amanda is doing it herself.
And, to try to draw everybody together close so that she can maintain her story.
Well, I wondered when you were talking about her car accident, I was like, I wonder if a white van really ran her off the road or if she just is like, well, time to get myself into a car accident to avoid this major trial.
I agree that
I don't want to face
probably
any
what happened, but that is
consequences.
such a risky move to drive yourself into a ravine so aggressively that you end up upside down. Like that's a life or death move.
My thought is that she put like a rock on the gas pedal, put it in drive, and just let the car drive away. And then she's like, well, I better like skin my knee or something.
Maybe.
And climbs out, maybe. But also, what else is a risky move? Completely pretending to be a different identity and trying to fake someone else's life. So it sounds like this person is not adverse to
She
risk.
loves risky moves.
So finally, the blood tests are performed, and the poor kids are told that they have to do the tests, and they don't really understand why. The adults are trying their best to share the information that they can in the least traumatic way possible for the children, but there is no way to really do this. But so the kids have to submit blood, and so does Amanda or Lucinda. And the results gave them their answer. The woman who had been living with them for 6 full months was not their mother.
weird.
She was not 26-year-old Lucinda Huels. She was actually 17-year-old Amanda Dennis,
Whoa.
who had run away from her
gosh.
family as a younger teen. So she was only 17 years old. This woman.
What was her home life like that she wanted to run away? And
That's
pretend to be
such a
someone
great
else?
question. And there's
And
very little information
marry
about her
someone else.
because she was a minor at the time that she
A minor.
went through all of this.
Wow.
So,
Nuts.
faced with this irrefutable evidence, she admitted her true identity. She apologized for any pain that she had caused, especially to the children. And she told the children that she had really grown to love them. over the past several months. And with that, she didn't get to say goodbye to the children. That was in her apology, but she said goodbye to Larry and she flew back to Arkansas with her aunt and uncle.
Oh my gosh.
Weird.
So,
Oh, those poor kids.
Those poor kids having their mother ripped away from them again.
yes. And the adults tried to kind of like put it off like, oh, she had to go somewhere. Like they kind of like delayed telling them for a little while until they figured out that they couldn't continue to delay it.
You overwhelmed mommy again.
Oh,
I hate that. No. So, I mean, she left with, more questions than answers, right? So, like, why did she pretend to be Lucinda Huels? How did she know so much about Lucinda? Did she stage that car crash? And did she spray paint the messages and slash the tires? Or was that another creepy thing that happened? Because you never know. Mm-hmm. Lucinda Huels was once again officially listed as a missing person.
Yeah.
Larry never remarried. A few years later, Tony Huels, who was the son, he was, I think, probably 10 or 11 years old at the time that the fake mom came back. But a few years later, he was able to contact Amanda Dennis through Facebook Messenger. And he asked if she was his real mother, and she said no. Aww. He asked if she ever knew Lucinda, and she said no, but she wished she had. And she apologized again for everything.
Oh, man. I mean, really, she was just 17.
uh-huh.
Oh, lots of 17-year-olds in this story.
So the Huels family says that they don't hold any bad feelings towards Amanda Dennis. I think they understand that she was probably a lonely, sad, tragic person looking for love too. Like they're so generous and understanding about that whole ordeal. So basically everybody in Lucinda's life, in the real Lucinda's life, believes that she would never have left her family by choice. And I know that's common and everybody's like, oh, they would never. And maybe, like maybe she would never. And right. It's like, it's so hard to know, but they all believe it, that she would not have left just to get out of there. And I listened to an interview with Lucinda's daughter on a podcast called Unfound. It was called Unfound. And the episode was Lucinda Huels, The Real Thing. So the daughter is now Deanna Riley. And she said that everybody tells her how similar she is to her mother. She's a really beautiful woman. Like she's lovely. She, has a lot of personality traits and physical traits that are similar to her mother. She agrees that Nika and Linda were not good influences on her mother. And she's still seeking answers about what happened that night. She, hasn't learned much more than what I've just shared with you. So...
Well, and it seems like if the runaway thing doesn't make sense if her purse was left behind full of her ID, full of cash.
Yeah, the cash especially.
You'd
like
need
if you're trying to
start over.
If you're trying to start over, I can see leaving your ID, but I cannot understand leaving any amount of cash, right?
Yeah.
Also, she said that it was super weird to everybody that Nika, Linda, and Larry Moore, the sign guy, never came around when the reunion was happening. They were never like, stopping over being like, you had us worried sick or anything. They weren't like,
wow.
Yeah. Like,
like,
we're so glad you showed up. People have been suspicious of us. It's like, hey, kind of.
Yeah. Like, wouldn't you want to see those reactions too? Because like, if they did have something to do with it, like, like their reaction would be like, oh shit, if this woman shows up pretending to be, or claiming to be Lucinda,
and
or
they know that
it would either be that
murdered.
or it'd be relief, but none of them ever came around.
How did she know about the scar on the thigh? Like, did she just happen to have the same scar in a similar spot, a similar scar in the same spot? Or did she scar herself knowing, like, did she hear somewhere that Lucinda had that scar?
I don't think she knew anything about it until the police brought her in. And honestly, I think her life was pretty unhappy.
Yeah.
And I think that she just was like, you know what?
She's like, I've got a scar for any place. Maybe. Sure, you name it, I've got it.
I mean, that's possible. It could have just been a coincidence. And they didn't like have a picture of the scar. They just had a description of it. So like, I don't know what she pointed to saying that it was the same mark. She didn't even try to say it was, up until that point, she was still denying that she was Lucinda.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. What a strange turn of events for her to suddenly be like, are you Lucinda? No, no. And then suddenly maybe, I mean, just like her 17-year-old mind, maybe she was just like, maybe this is it. I can go, I can have an instant family. These kids are cute. And, when you're 17, I think a lot of these girls are so idealistic. And she probably just thought, I could just have this instant family. I could love these kids. I could step in and be a mom and a wife and just have this life handed to me.
Yeah.
And I'm making so many people happy.
Yeah.
Well, and that's gotta be crazy to be married to someone who is like, who are you? Like,
right.
That'd be very stressful.
Yeah.
That would be really, really stressful.
Yeah.
So in this interview that I listened to, Deanna, like I said earlier, she acknowledges that her mom was just a kid when she disappeared. So they're not even like judging her harshly for any of the decisions she was making, like going out late at night and stuff like that. Like,
no,
I think they kind of are like, those older women. And I do have to say, I agree with this. Like, if you go out with a set of 3 girlfriends, you really shouldn't leave a girl behind.
No.
Like, that's kind of, and it sucks to be the one that's responsible and cares about that because you don't know if somebody else is always going to have your back that way. But like, I don't think you should split up, and I don't think you should leave your girlfriends behind. You shouldn't leave anybody alone.
I totally agree. And I got to say, like, my daughter is friends just, because she's in the theater community. She has friends that she hangs out with all the time that are a couple years older than her. And I would definitely be like, you guys were the older ones that were responsible if there was ever a situation. I mean, that hasn't happened, and they're pretty safe with their hangouts. But I would absolutely put the weight on those. On those older
and is
kids,
it's
older
certain
girls.
That they left her behind at the bar?
Well, they both said
they both said they did. Yeah, they both said who they saw her with at the end.
Probably.
But you're right, Haley. Like, there was no surveillance footage that anybody had.
Because unfortunately, we have seen trio friendships dissolve in two of the friends murdering the third friend.
Well, and what happened? Like, Lucinda's husband
jealousy
came to the bar, brandished a gun. What?
No,
did they ever look into
not
him?
Lucinda's husband. Linda's.
I'm sorry,
husband.
I meant to say Linda. Linda's husband came to the bar brandishing a gun and then left at some point. Where was he lurking around? Like, did he? Did they look into him? I mean, he seems like pretty volatile.
Sounds like these people were never really totally questioned the way they should have been.
Well, and I don't like when my mind wandered earlier, honestly, and you were describing, remember, and I was like, oh, same name. I was actually thinking about the Candy Park murder, and I was thinking about how Dana Dumars really had nothing to do with the altercation that was going on with Patty Stroud and with Bart Cochran. She was just an observer, but she was there. And so I was actually I was thinking about that. And then it seems like you said that Linda wasn't involved, or Lucinda, I'm sorry, Linda, come on. Really similar names. That Lucinda wasn't involved at all in the altercation there. But if he's stewing and he's angry and he's waiting somewhere and she's alone and he's just takes his anger out on a,
Yeah, you never know.
17-year-old girl.
So Deanna in this interview also addressed everybody always has the question, was it the husband? And she addresses this. She says, he was at home without a car with 2 young children. Yeah. Nobody that knows him really thinks he's capable of that. He was a gentle guy, a good dad. So it was a 15-minute drive away from the apartment and he didn't have a car. So it's not likely, but she did address that because everybody does say it's always the husband.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't think it was him even really for a minute in this whole telling. I was like, clearly not that Larry.
Yeah, I haven't thought that either.
Oh, and with Lucinda and there being those notes that she would write to him being like, I'm sorry, I'll stop going out. It just sounds like he was maybe the kind of husband who was like, please just stay home with me. I don't want to go out, but I want to be with you. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and his reaction when she came back, he let Amanda move in
right away.
It just feels like he would have been like, I don't know, if he had anything to do with it, he would have been like, okay, I can tell you're not.
Yeah. So
my wife.
Larry Moore, the guy with the sign the sign business and the cleaning business in the job offer for Lucinda, is now deceased. His ex-wife says that he was not a good person at all, but that he never mentioned Lucinda. And that, I mean, who knows what that even is worth, but like that's just a little point to state. Police and the Huels family have considered the possibility that Lucinda could have been a victim of serial killer Bobby Joe Long. Do you guys know who that is?
No.
I've heard the name, but I don't know.
He was connected to the killings and sexual assault of 10 women. And there was one survivor that I don't know if she got away or if he let her go, but it was a 17-year-old named Lisa McVeigh that he had abducted and raped and tortured. And she helped police find him and, led police to him. But he, was already in prison, already facing death row when he was asked if he had anything to do with Lucinda Huels. And he said, quote, "I'm sorry to hear about the Huels girl. Truly I am. And if you think you can help them by sharing this with them, please feel free to do so. I know nothing about that matter and had nothing to do with it. I don't lie. I don't have to. That's the truth of it." And he said, "It's not a good feeling knowing how many people I've hurt directly or indirectly. I wish I could help the Huels family and find closure at least, but I can't. I have no knowledge of that matter. If I did, I'd tell them. I don't want to ever be the source or focus of people's pain again." And honestly, I mean, like, fuck that guy. Like, I don't know if I believe him or not. He wouldn't have anything to lose by saying if he did do it. But I also am like, are we suddenly saying just because he's behind bars that he's like suddenly got the honesty bug? Because he was a real piece of work.
Well, and I feel like we've seen cases where killers are clearly being kind of like almost coy with whether or not they killed someone. And that's a power move. And that's something that people are doing to increase their sadistic tendency, like to kind of feed that. And there's no trace of that in his statement.
Right.
Saying,
and maybe
I don't know anything about it.
Maybe it's possible that he would have tried to use it as a bargaining chip to get himself off of death row or something if he did have knowledge. I mean, I know that there are situations where that does happen, but also like, I'm just like, I read that and I was like, oh, nice at first. And then I was like, you know what? Actually, no, like there's nothing about this piece of work. Like he's seriously awful, just an awful, terrible human being. But he was literally active as a killer in that area and was arrested 3 weeks after she disappeared.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's possible.
I mean, I wonder how many other serial killers were in that area.
Yeah, I mean, Christopher Wilder was in that area. He just was, I think, was already killed by 84.
Yeah. Well, and like then there's also like the confession killer, Henry Lee Lucas, who tried to claim that he was part of some big satanic cabal and was a hitman for Satan and like all of this.
Was he in Tampa at that same time?
He said he was a lot of places at a lot of times.
Oh, the guy that just confessed to everything.
He confessed to everything. And so it's just like like different serial killers. Some of them are like, no, these are my kills and I only want credit for these kills. And some of them are like, give them all to me. And just, it's, who knows if he's telling the truth or not.
Well, it's a tragic story, and that's all the information I have. But I did want to ask you guys what you think. Like, do you think that she ran away? Do you think that she was taken? Like, what?
I think she was killed. I think she was probably murdered. And Florida, I mean,
maybe by that Larry guy.
Yeah, not a difficult place to dispose of a body in Florida. Just with
I think also it's interesting. Like, they did focus on asking anybody that they could round up from the bar that night, but her being right across the street from a campground, like, did they try to figure out who was there that night? Like, and who was in the area?
Was where they found her purse? Was at the campground, right?
They found her purse at the campground. I don't know what the records were like or if they would have been able to track down who was in and out of the campground. But it seems like there was, there's just still more questions than answers in all of it.
You know who she looks like is Valerie Bertinelli.
Yeah, she does.
It shows that look.
Yeah, that just like sweetheart look.
Oh, Well, how heartbreaking.
Yeah.
How'd you find that?
I found it on, like, somebody did a write-up of it on Reddit, and then I just kind of like
started to deep dive.
Yeah, and there is, I mean, I told you about the one podcast that did a little bit about it, but it's hard to find information about it. I think I don't, like, I searched as much as I could, and I shared every detail I could find with you guys about it, and that's all I could find.
Do we know where Amanda is now? Like,
no, there's really very little about her. She's declined interviews with the media other than the Facebook contacts from Tony. There just really has been very little.
Which honestly, I think the fact that she responded to him and took the time to answer his questions shows that there's remorse there.
Yeah.
And
she probably just had a pretty bad lot too.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, maybe there was some mental instability there, or maybe just like, I mean, the police did describe her as like maybe being a con woman, but she was 17 years old. She was 17 years old and had already run away from home and was getting out of an unhappy marriage with this situation that was literally kind of thrust in her lap that she rejected multiple times first. And that's not my way of, I'm not excusing any of it because it's still awful. But I guess I feel permission to have sympathy because the family had sympathy. And it's just, she must have been going through a lot.
I think you have permission to have sympathy. I mean, just her age, knowing her circumstance, and that she wasn't like mean. It's like there's no evidence that she got into bank accounts and tried to take things. Like there was, it does almost seem like
it sounds like she's very nurturing to the kids as well.
Like the Changeling, you know, the Changeling movie with Angelina Jolie, and it's a true story where this little kid was like, "Yeah, I'm her son," and he went along with it, and like, you know, it was just sort of like, well, I don't know, it just seemed like a great thing to do. I thought I'd like to live in California. Maybe I'd meet this blah, blah, blah actor. So he just like went along with it. He was just, it's that same thing where it's like, you don't think about the grand consequence of things.
Yeah.
And I at that age, very often, some people do. Some people are wise beyond their years.
Yeah.
And ears.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, the seemingly like knowledge that she had of Lucinda, I feel like people can kind of fill in contextual like
You're
information.
Right. You're totally right. And people did talk about that, how, like, you know, and this was kind of in the same vein of them calling her a con artist, but like, you know, people can kind of read micro expressions and kind of like guess the best answer based on how people are reacting to things. And they think that maybe that's kind of what she was doing. I just don't assign it such a nefarious,
no,
you know,
I don't think it was nefarious.
Because like you said, she wasn't stealing. She wasn't trying to gain really anything other than a family, which...
And it sounds like she was kind to the kids.
Yeah.
From the reports you had that she...
Especially if Tony would reach out that many years later and say, "Are you my mom?"
Yeah.
Poor kid.
That, I mean, can you imagine?
I cannot imagine.
Yeah. Ugh.
So...
Oh...
That
If you
poor
remember
family.
that episode, of The Office, where the character, I can't remember her name, but the one that's the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh, Erin.
Where she's talking about being raised and not knowing who her mom is, and then the lady's interviewing her. And the lady's like, "Well, aren't you mad at your mom?" Gosh, I can't remember who the actress is that is playing the interviewer, but the actress is like, "Aren't you mad at your mom?" She's like, "Well, I mean... yeah, I'm kind of mad at her, but I want to be like, oh, you know, like, Mom, I hate you." And then she'll be like, "You go to your room, young lady." And I just sat there watching it, sobbing, because it was like what she was craving was that. And then the reporter goes, "You go to your room, young lady," and starts yelling at her, and you realize that's her mom.
Oh my
What is the matter with me?
gosh.
It just makes me think of that.
A heartbreaking moment in that show. I'm
just
tearing up too.
That need for your parent and to not know. It's like, I think losing a parent to death is one thing. It's really awful and it's really hard when you know your parent has lost their life, but like to have that not knowing, and then those poor kids getting that hope that she's back. But also just like the absolute what that would do to your mind. To be told, I was overwhelmed. I had to get away. I would be like, what?
Yes.
What did I do to overwhelm you? You know what I mean? That, and then to suddenly have her be gone again. And like, Oh, geez. What a tough
It
thing.
would be so awful. And Deanna did say in that interview that she has some abandonment issues. Like
Yeah.
she's always worried that the people that she loves are going to disappear.
Yeah.
And that would be just such a tough wound to live with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
Absolutely.
like almost like an attachment disorder that you see, like a lot of
Yeah.
kids in foster kids have it, where
Yeah.
they just have trouble trusting
Yeah.
attachments.
I mean, they had other adults around them that, that loved them and tried to nurture them. And they seem, like she's able to acknowledge that about herself. But like, I think she's really, seems like a kind, smart, well-rounded person that's, doing the best she can with a really tragic situation.
And it sounds like Larry was a very good father.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Wow,
anyway,
that
guys,
got
was
me a little. That's a sad one, Emmy.
that was a tough, it's a tough one, wasn't it?
yeah.
You did such a good job, Em.
What an interesting one,
thank
though.
you.
Like the crazy twists.
Yeah.
And I really want to know now, was it ever featured on Unsolved Mysteries?
Google didn't know, so I think the only answer is we need to buy every single cassette tape or VHS tape of Unsolved Mysteries and watch them all. I think that's the only way we can find out.
Yeah. All right,
I
listeners,
agree.
send us all of your Unsolved Mystery VHSs.
Yes. Mail them to us on VHS. We'll
If you saw the Unsolved Mystery featuring Lucinda Huels,
yes.
tell us.
Yeah. I do wonder, though, if it was, like I said earlier, like a similar type program.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, that someone saw, or like a news report, and someone's like, I saw that on Unsolved Mysteries. Like, you know what I mean? Because if
Attributed it to the wrong show.
I can't keep any of the things that, like any of the haunting things. I'm like, was that on Paranormal State, or was that on Ghost Hunters, or was that on like this haunted house? Like, I can never remember what I saw what on. So
Yeah.
and I think Unsolved Mysteries was the big show at that time, but there must have been other mystery
Yeah,
type
for sure.
shows or missing.
Yeah. Well, and the host of Unsolved Mysteries, his own son, I believe, went missing or was murdered, and I don't know if it was ever solved.
The host of Unsolved
You didn't know
Mysteries?
that? Yeah.
I knew the host of America's Most Wanted was, but I didn't know that the host of Unsolved
Maybe
Mysteries
I'm mixing up.
was.
I'm mixing
You
up
just
my
did
shows.
exactly what Nettie was describing. You
America's
conflated
Most
two
Wanted.
shows.
Yeah, I think it was
I did.
Jonathan.
See? Perfect
Walsh.
example.
So the
Yeah.
Walsh was America's Most Wanted, which maybe they saw. Maybe it was on America's Most Wanted. Like who knows? But yeah, his son was the little boy that went missing, and then they found a head, but they were still are not
That's
completely
right.
sure if it was his head.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And he became the host of that show.
and then there's been like conspiracies lately with his daughter claiming that
The dad did it?
yeah, or that it was all like a setup, or that the kid was like sold into trafficking or something, like the older daughter.
no.
But then it's sort of people are saying, well, she's mentally ill, she's got mental issues. Anyway, I'm not saying it's one way or the other, but it was interesting to kind of like watch
That
her
is
stuff.
something to maybe
Think
look into.
She has been silenced at this point. I don't know what happened to her, but
Well, with all this Epstein stuff, and I've gone down quite the rabbit
Rabbit hole.
hole, it's really just so
Yeah.
many more. I have more questions now than before I started
just-
going down this rabbit hole.
because every time you feel like you've solved something or figured it out, it opens up an entire new
Yeah.
chasm of like, oh, well, this, and it's
Well, and looking into like Robert Maxwell, who was Ghislaine Maxwell's father, like that whole thing is crazy, and his connection to the octopus murders, and
I still think you should do an episode on that.
it's
You should.
thanks. I just like I think I'm answering one question, and then I get 20 more questions after that, and so I need to like sit down and start. Like, I need to make my own crazy board with the red string. Crazy wall.
Ain't that just the way?
Gosh.
Well, I'm gonna share my sources in the show notes, but I did want to say that if you wanted to do like read about this, the most thorough account that I found was crimeblogger1983.blogspot.com. They had a really great write up of everything about Lucinda Huels, and you can find the mugshot of Nika Owens there.
Wow. Okay. I could not find it when I Googled it. I did Nika Owens, Tampa, Florida, mugshot, 1983. Nothing.
Yeah, well,
Then I
gonna have
added
to go to that
things
blog.
each time because I did Nika Owens. Nothing. Tampa, Florida. Nothing. Mugshot. Nothing. Anyway, I'll close this. I'll take us out. Thank you so much for listening. We are the Spooky Darlings. If you have any stories that you'd like to share, you can email us at thespookydarlings@gmail.com. And we are on our social media on Instagram and TikTok and now YouTube on The Spooky Darlings Podcast. But if you're looking for our podcast on a podcast platform that's not YouTube, we are just The Spooky Darlings. Thanks for listening, and we will see you.
Catch you in the next one.
Next one, yes. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
5 stars.
Butts are important.
And now, 1, 2, 3, clap. Do it.
We're going to wonder why I said butts are important. It's going to be out of context. Okay, 1, 2, 3, clap. Emily said that her glasses were more important than her asses. And then she said, actually, just kidding, or I don't know if that's true or something. And then we hit record, and then I said butts are important.
You're leaving out all the context where you made up a song saying she's a lady, she's got glasses, she's got asses. I don't know.
No, she's got smile, she's got class, she's got glasses.
Perfect. Okay, so who wants to bring us in? How are you guys? How's everybody?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm excited to hear what you are going to cover today because I don't know a thing about it.
Me neither, and I'm excited too. It should be fun.
Yeah.
Haley, why don't you bring us in, and I'll take us out.
Okay.
Okay.
Because Haley's got class, and she's
And
got sass.
And she's got glasses up the wasses.
Ooh. And she fills out her faffs. But it does not rhyme.
She did fill it out, though. She did. That was accurate.
She might have.
A long time ago.
I don't think I did do a FAFSA.
I bet you did.
I don't remember it.
I bet your mom
You
made
have to now, but back in, I don't think I did one until like my junior year of college. When my friends were like, "You've never filled out FAFSA?" And I was like, "No, I don't know how. Why would I?"
What is it?
It's the federal application for student loans. You're like, oh, I don't really want to know. I prefer not to know.
I do know what it is, but at the time I didn't know what it is. But thank you for being there with that information.
You're welcome.
All right. Moment of silence. Before we disappear into the shadows, don't forget, we're still sending out vinyl stickers. Leave us a rating and review and email us proof to thespookydarlings@gmail.com, along with your mailing address, and we'll send you some spooky snail mail while supplies last. And if your heart is still mourning that tote bag, may we gently tempt your way toward our merch store at thespookydarlings.printful.me. Treat yourself. You deserve it. Thanks for listening. And as always, stay spooky.